flower in the back there, right?
You know, these guys, the stagboards and stuff, they're growing like weeds, and it's fun to watch it. It was probably 6 months before we actually saw any water in it.
Nicole here with Worldwide Corals, and today I have another beautiful tank to show you from Victoria, British Columbia. And I'm here with Gerald. And this is his amazing custom reef tank in his home. And it's L-shaped, and it's got huge colonies that he's been growing out for 5 years. So he's going to tell us more about his tank and some of the corals and fish that he has in it. Tell us a little bit about, I know it's, it looks pretty long, like the size and the dimensions. Yeah. How many gallons is this tank?
About 600.
600 gallons.
Yeah.
Okay. And it seems like it's about 6 feet long.
And for our Canadian friends, that's 2,400 liters. It's about 500-ish and something of actual tank size. And then there's 2 sumps. The tank together, I really sort of wanted to have a mixed tank. Mm-hmm. And so I still wanted to have a little bit of, LPS in it, some softies, and stuff like that. So which is, I think, sometimes a little bit more challenging because of water flow and parameters and stuff. And you find over time that some stuff just doesn't like your tank. From a display perspective, it looks great. For people who don't know anything about aquariums or coral or anything, they walk in, they go, "Is this real?"
Right? Is that alive?
Yeah. It's like, how do you? What do you do? What? How does this work? And they don't care that that's a cheap coral. Right?
Yeah, and I don't even like using that word, cheap coral. It's like it's
an easy grower. Coral. It's a common grower, but it's an impressive display.
I mean, it's a very unique shape, the L shape. So is it completely custom designed? Did you design it?
Yeah. So one of the local builders in town, I said this is what I wanted to build. I had a 90-gallon here.
Okay.
And then when we renovated the house, I said I wanted to do this thing. I wanted to have it built in. And they came out and looked and said, like, yeah, we can't build this tank and deliver it. So it was built on site. Yeah. So I welded a metal frame, so it's all on a metal frame. Okay. And then we plumbed everything so that it would come in through the bottom. Wow. And it's all vented. So in the base here, there's a humidistat and a thermostat. So if the temperature gets too high or there's too much humidity, it all vents and pulls air outside. Wow. That's why we don't get much humidity issues in the house, and it never smells. Right. And then the same with the canopy part. So if the temperature...
Can we look inside it and see how...
Sure. It's not like pristine.
That's fine.
There's wires. Fine. There's wires everywhere.
That's okay. That's a real reef tank.
Yeah. 9 radions.
Okay.
These 2 at the front I just installed because I was getting too much growth. Like these corals here weren't getting enough light, so I had to pull some light forward. Right. And then a couple of LEDs that I did have T5s on here. I had 2 sets of T5s on either side, but I've kind of gotten away from that. It just couldn't be bothered with changing tubes and stuff all the time.
Like, do you run them on any special spectrum, or you just...
I'm just using the AB+, the coral, whatever that spectrum is.
Yeah.
And I run about a 10-hour photo period.
Okay.
And I run it late, so because I'm not usually home during the day.
Yeah.
So the tank starts lighting up around 11 or so, and it goes to like 10.
Yeah, we like that too, especially in Canada. It's getting dark early.
It's dark all the time. It's dark outside. It's like 3:30. You can see there's vents at the back. There's just little portholes.
Oh yeah, I see that.
It's all wired, and then there's a fan, like an exhaust fan there. So.
And I like your little PVC light holders.
Yeah, that's just my easy.
I think that's a tip that people might want to steal.
Yeah, exactly right. So the funny thing about my favorite coral is the Bonsai, which is starting. I bought 3 frags, and they're starting to grow in the back here.
Oh, that's the one with the little yellow polyps, right?
It's a really cheap, there again, sort of cheap, inexpensive coral that grows really fast, and I just find it colorful, and I get enjoyment out of watching the corals grow.
I love seeing big colonies like this because it doesn't happen as often.
And that's the other issue too, is that things grow fast, and so you put in 10 coral. 2 years later, you're looking at it going like, wow, I got to move stuff around because it's just competing for itself. Yeah, and like there's things like the Fox flame, that was basically the size of my thumb when I got it. It's growing and growing. And then the other day, a little bit at the top started dying off and I panicked. So you start checking water parameters and start running around the house like, what's going on? What's going on? And then you realize it's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. Especially these big bird's nests. I mean, you see that in the wild.
Yeah,
it's like
you can see a little bit of deterioration here in this one. Yeah, and everything's fighting for space, right? Everything is competing.
Natural healthy reef.
And that's the way it works, right? That's just the way it works. So this was a classic scenario where this area here, when I designed it, I thought it would be big enough.
Right.
And it's probably big enough.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things where access to it became a problem.
Right.
And so the thought process of how would I redesign that is totally different now, but it's in. And so it is what it is.
You go to these different places and you always find these legacy corals. Like I know at our tank, we definitely have these red mushrooms, even these anemones. It's so classic. Like everyone here on the island has a colony of that anemone, and it's the same thing. They just split and split and split.
They just go and go and go. And it started out actually just with one that I think was in this area here, and now they're all around the back. And like I say, as long as they keep to themselves, it's fine, right?
Yeah, I can see actually there. Oh wow, they're everywhere in the back there, right?
She says like, you got to get rid of those because they're starting to compete, and it's like, no, they're fine as long as they stay to their own place in the back there. They're okay because that needs to be filled in as well, right?
In terms of your fish, did you add them all at once, or did you start off with a few?
Basically, bring in a bunch of fish at once. I put them in my quarantine area and kept them there for a couple of months, basically. And then I introduced all the fish at the same time. And so now it's really rare that I will take the chance to add anything.
Apex controller, you have the doser, like what's going on over there for
so there's the trident.
It's a whole lab down there.
It is. That's the thing, right? When I put it together, it's like I didn't have any idea 5 years ago that I'd be dosing what I'm dosing. And then there's 3 Apex dosing machines. There's one up top. I'm using mostly Red Sea supplement products for alkalinity, calcium, and then I've got the trident Apex trident analyzer, and then on this side there's another. I think that's a Vertex dosing machine. Yeah, so I think that one of the successes with any tank is stability. So if you're, I don't think it matters much what your alkalinity levels are as long as they're stable over long term.
Right.
I think it's just stability, consistency, not changing things all the time, not changing chemicals all the time, using the same products for an extended period of time, and using good products, right? Like any times that I've had problems, I've looked at my parameters and something has gone out of whack. So I think it's important to spend that 10 or 15 minutes every week and check the water parameters.
Well, Gerald, thank you so much for taking the time to show us your tank. I really appreciated talking with you and learning, about these common corals that you have and how it just looks so beautiful as this full ecosystem, this full habitat that you've created here.
Well, I think the take-home message really is that beginner hobbyists in the reef industry can look at these corals and say, you're not having to go out and try and deal with difficult growing corals, that you can buy corals that are beginner corals that will give you a really beautiful display over a very short period of time.
Totally, yeah. It doesn't have to be the fanciest one. You can still create such a stunning, beautiful display with common corals. So thanks so much, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Nicole here again with Worldwide Corals from north of the border. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more international videos coming at you in 2024.
You said that you've been hurt one too many times before. Ended up staring in the bathroom mirror, crying on your bedroom floor. Baby, you can take my